We good? We're on. Are you sure? Hey, so welcome to the Poetry Den, where words once written on a page are now performed on stage, and solidarity extends between poets and friends. Please give yourselves a round of applause for being here. If you haven't noticed, we're actually, and you probably can notice a little bit if you've been around the Poetry Den, we are back in the actual space where we were holding live Poetry Den, except for last month we didn't have to wear a mask, and this month we do. So being flexible, I guess, is our new word for the year. Hopefully, it won't be our new word for the year. We'll get it right and get on some kind of page that will allow us to freely see one another smile and teeth brush or unbrushed. How about that? But again, it's a pleasure to be here, and thank you to all who are joining us virtually. This is new for us, virtual and live. We're giving it a try to see what's going, how this thing is going to work out, and I'm excited about it. And the wonderful people that run this place have been very supportive to us and very willing to do whatever we need to have done. So I would really like to give a round of applause to the Civil Rights Heritage Center. Definitely a huge love for us, and uh, years now. I'm almost going to stop counting that we've been allowed to be in this space freely, and invite people freely and welcome people freely. So it's a pleasure to be here with you all. How this works is we do an open mic, and then we have a phenomenal featured artist that closes us out. And so any of you that are out there that would like to read some poetry, I encourage you, highly, 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 highly encourage you that you can sign up out there, or you can just wave to me and say, "Yeah, I wanna do that," and we'll make sure that that happens for you. This place has been so. The people that attend this are so welcoming to people reading for the first time, for people that write in their seat for the first time, and that get up and share with us. And so you'll find some commonality here, as well as a wide um, variety of poetry. So, again, so glad that you're here. There's no really random order. I just call you up, you do your piece. I'll probably do another round, see who's out there that wants to do something, and then when we kind of exhausted that, we will invite our featured artists. And those of you that are online, again, you can go in the chat, let George know that you'd like to participate, and we'll make sure that you get to do that. And all of our viewers here can see you out there, and you probably, I don't know if you'll be seeing us, but we'll definitely see your gorgeous face online. So, but I'm going to, actually, I'm not going to start out. I'm going to ask George to come, and I always like to do this because it's important. History is important, right? Otherwise, they wouldn't require us to learn about it in school. For those of us that like history and don't like history. um, but this place has very rich history, painful, but yet very beautiful now. And so I want to give honor to that for the place that we're allowed to be in. And so I just like for George to come along and just give us a brief, something about the space that you're in. And if you ever want to know more, these guys here will definitely talk your ear off. So we welcome George.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you, Pam. I maintain somebody who has been enmeshed in history for years, ever since I was a kid in that history class. If you didn't like your history class, I'm going to bet like a 90% chance it was your teacher's fault and not your fault. Because like you said, right, the stories of our past, the collective amount of things that we've all been through as a people, as a culture, as a society, means a lot and it matters a lot. And that can sometimes mean things that we can acknowledge as a collective good. Sometimes we need to acknowledge the collective bad. We need to acknowledge that harm, that real harm that has been done to millions of people. We are in one of those places that is rooted in harm. I stand in what started as the girls' changing room of the former Engman Public Natatorium, both in person and online. You can probably see over my right shoulder some of the changing rooms that were here right behind me when this place was new. And for those who are here in person, I don't know if you noticed on your way in, but carved right outside the front of the building is that word public. And I'm going to ask everybody to just pause for a minute and take stock of what we think that word should mean. I don't think there would be many here who would think that that word should mean anything less than everyone. No matter who you are, no matter where you come from, no matter how you present, no matter how you exist in this world, that word public should mean open to all. And this space was not. In spite of the fact of the people who ran it, quite frankly, people who look like myself, from 1922 to 1936, in spite of the fact that African Americans had been in this city longer than there had been a city, in spite of the fact that they were a growing percentage and portion of the city, directly contributing to all of its changes and all of its growth and everything in here. In spite of all that, the people who ran this place specifically and deliberately denied entry to include African Americans. How then can it be public? And again, what does it mean that one portion of the public specifically denied the meaning of that word, denied the humanity to another? It is an act of violence, and it impacted tens of thousands of people in this city for almost 30 years. By no means were we the only space, and by no means were we the only city, right? What we do now in this one space, in this one city, is reclaim it, is acknowledge again that that word public must be widely attributed to all people. And we come to this space to hold those hard conversations about how and when we fell down. And we have fallen down a lot, and we continue to fall down a lot. The echoes, the waves that were made by the discrimination in this space are very much still felt today, and new echoes from new incidents of discrimination and injustice are still continuing and will continue to be felt for generations to come. So what we have to do is come into a space to have open, honest, productive, and real conversation. We do not shy away from the past. We do not attempt to bury the past. We do not tell people you cannot teach the past, as a lot of people are frankly trying to do right now. We do not shy away from the hard conversations and shrink away from it as though it were an element of the past, because it's not. It is with us always, here and now. And then, and only then, can we begin to build the world not only that we want to live in, but as my dear friend and partner in this, Dr. Darrell Heller, our director, says, we're doing this not for necessarily for us, but not necessarily for our children, but for our grandchildren's children. Part of that has to also be acknowledging the joy of being human. And what better way to do that than by spoken word? And so again, every month, Pam gives me the privilege of coming into this space to share spoken word, to share humanity. So thank you again, Pam, for not only everything that you do to keep spoken word alive in the city, but to keep it echoing through these walls. Thank you.
Again, that's really important for me to do. And as you can see, when you look around the room, everybody doesn't look alike. You got different gender, different race, you know, hairstyles, all that great stuff. And that's actually, if anybody that knows me, that's usually like my surrounding. My surroundings always look, you know, like that, where it's inclusive. And so it's not, at first I thought it was kind of shocking at first, but then I was like, but that's how your regular world looks. And so, again, it's just, I'm glad that we're in a place that welcomes all. And so it just kind of mirrors, I always say it mirrors our heart. So that's kind of while we do it here, while we do it with these great people that are here. I'm going to start off with, let me say this for all of you here. There's a bathroom that's in the back, in the corner. I think pretty much we ask you maybe to use not use yeah, thank you. Because it's real loud out here. Or if you take a phone call, if you go back there and do your phone call, we will all hear your conversations. Guarantee we will hear it. So you might want to step outside or whisper, but yeah, there's a large echo here, and so we'll definitely do that. So with that said, I'm gonna start off with truth. This piece of poetry, again, some of my poetry I've read a lot of times, but we always have somebody new, so somebody hasn't heard it. And this piece I wrote that describes me. Who am I? I am creator, born from creation, breath of life, a mind of artistic imagination. Driven by passion, art of expression, I am your true craftsman. I am twisted words of truth, undocumented proof, and I give no excuse to what my pen might produce. My enthusiasm is to give you an eargasm of a whole lot of sarcasm, because it's the only time people really tell the truth. And they say the truth shall set you free, but what you fail to believe is that transparency has a warranty. So you'll expire quickly to lies just so you can get by. Just so you can get by on American dreams of things that you can't really afford, or furthermore, save for tomorrow, having no real credit in this life unless you continue to borrow. So strapped for money that united we can't stand up for justice. So divided, we fall for anything. Is our future even promising? When was the last time you built a castle in the sand? Where are the coloring books with crayons? And when did computers take over the art of drawing freehand? And when did computers become, and when did, I'm sorry, and when did Facebook become our new listening friend and inserting LOL behind comments keep me from the offend? Even now, your undivided attention I command. I am the potter on the wheel. To you my thoughts I conceal, a beautiful mind reveal. The pen, my sword, the paper, my shield. Through poetry, I can heal. Peace. I'm gonna read another little short piece. I usually write pretty short poetry. This is even shorter. And not so focused. I do a lot of rhyme. That might be due to music and because I sing a little bit, and so that might be why I kind of write like that. But this part is not so wrapped in that, but very small. And this piece was actually inspired by, I think it was a picture of a tree, just this beautiful tree in the yard. So it's called Tree of Life, and it's biblically based. I didn't say that right, but you know what I mean. In the garden, she was first declared. Her leaves provided breath to my air. In the spring, she wears a nest of robins in her hair. With scorching heat and cold, she bears. God sends rain to purge despair, as her limbs are never too long or short for prayer. Her roots are wrapped tightly around things we can't see. Faith that provides sustainability. That's that piece. I'm gonna read one more piece and then I'll invite you guys to come up and join me on the stage here. Oh, I haven't done this in a while. So my stage name I use a lot is called Poetic Melody, and it's because I like music and poetry, and so I used to do a lot of things with music. So I'm gonna do this one that actually someone wrote the music behind this, but I won't try to spend a lot of times. I'll just do it a cappella. But it's called "You Are the Colors in My Rainbow." One word, one world, one life, one heart, all with something to impart. Different people, different beliefs, different hopes, different dreams. We say love is colorblind, but it was love that had you and I in mind. Those brown, green, and shades of blue designed to see the soul of your virtue. 'Cause you are the colors in my rainbow. You are the colors in my rainbow. The difference of our skin, far greater the beauty within. I want you to know. You are the colors of my rainbow. Hair like wool, hair like silk. Hair colored, uniting, hiding grays of guilt. Pale white skin, skin that's caramelized, relationships that cross culture lines. Generation of mixed ethnicity, creating a world of diversity. Woven together by a common thread, a new appreciation and respect. Because you are the colors in my rainbow. You are the colors in my rainbow. The difference of our skin, far greater the beauty within. I want you to know. You are the colors in my rainbow. You are the colors in my rainbow. You are the colors in my rainbow. Twisted, locked, or straight, braided, weaved, or shaved. I want you to know. You are the colors in my rainbow. Diversity is not our greatest strength, but the ability to unite despite our differences. For the colors of the rainbow are not divided, but together form an image of the sun replicated. This world needs you and I, like iTunes to an iPod that's synchronized. The mystery behind mankind undefined, but the heart is the one thing that remains colorblind. 'Cause you are the colors in my rainbow. You are the colors in my rainbow. The difference of our skin, far greater the beauty within. I want you to know. You are the colors in my rainbow. You are the colors in my rainbow. You are the colors in my rainbow. That's that piece. All right, let's see. Daryl? Guys, please give a round of applause for Dr. Daryl Heller.
I came here to Pam's twin today. It's good. I haven't been here in a while, so it's good to see all of y'all here. I just have one piece that I'm going to read. This is something that I've been working on for a while, and it's titled "Written After a Visit to the Holocaust Museum." I have lived and died 1,000 deaths and died to live again. I've seen the wall, the Holocaust, and the stench of all our sins. A pile of hair, a hill of shoes, mounds of gold from toothless crowns. All lay inside spaces that cannot hide nor mute the deafening sounds of 6 million dead, 6 million gone, 6 million gone too soon. Despite the screams and tears and fears that filled the gaseous rooms. Can we bear to turn aside or dare to shift our gaze? How can we avert our eyes from what lay within the haze? Bodies naked, broken, dead, nothing but flesh and bones. Huddled together, feet to head, but each has died alone. With strong conviction in our heart, never again, we say, but a self-righteous mask won't hide the task that must be done each day. For when all is said but nothing done, and we have forgotten their names, we'll shudder in the darkening sun and wallow in our shame. All we've done is talk the talk to protect our selfish needs. We have failed to walk the walk and back our words with deeds. 6 million dead, more dying still. Did they die in vain? Will such crimes defile our times by being repeated again? 6 million dead, all gone is 6 million dead when all is said, for whom there is no cure. They were stilled against their will, but this I know for sure. If we cease to fight the fight and fight till our strength is gone, then life as lived is death revealed, and death has surely won. Thank you.
That was Dr. Darrell Heller. Give him another round of applause. And thank you for repping the shirt. I got persecuted by Mr. Spencer the last time for not repping, and he came, and so did a few others, and so I was looking a little ridiculous, but it's okay. So, Debbie, would you like to be next? You all give Debbie a round of applause, please.
I'm going to call this one Twins tonight, if I can go loud enough. Okay. From the outside looking in, they look nothing like twins, but their stories are similar, pain and suffering too familiar. One hides behind a sophisticated mask, one drowns in the contents of her flask. While their methods may be different, both prisons convey the same sentiment, each looking for freedom from the very same demon. Everything you do or touch will not be enough. You won't amount to anything, the siren continues to sing. She begins each day the very same way, applying the cosmetics, a salve, an anesthetic. She lines her lips and powders her nose, then searches for the perfect clothes. She indulges the torment? Can she find the perfect garment? Not too fancy, not too plain. It's a never-ending game. She primps and she preens, trying to be invisible, but yearning to be seen. And she too begins every day the very same way, hoping the toxic elixir will finally fix her. When the contents run dry, will there be tears left to cry? With quiet resignation, she sees their indignation. A glance, a smile, then a sneer reveals their thin veneer. She sees their disdain. Why can't they see her pain? And the one who hides behind the artistic facade is held in a much higher regard. Appearance that is admirable and respectable will provide her a seat at the table. A sense of belonging that resides beyond our grasp is all that either of these two women dare to ask. But the winners and losers are really one and the same, because we are all contenders in the very same game. What if we found a way to tear down expectations that fuel fears of imperfection? To be more than our appearance could be our deliverance.
All right. Debbie, thank you again for being here again. Appreciate you guys. Give her a round of applause again. I am going to invite my longtime Poetry Den fam, OG, to come up. And then Dan, if you're out there after OG, I'm going to call on you. So get ready, my friend. Give it up for OG.
How y'all doing this evening? Good deal, good deal. Share a couple of pieces with y'all from my book, Tales of an Urban Soldier. Available Amazon, outskirtspress.com, and also Barnes & Noble. And directly from me too. But anyway, let me see. What do I want to start with? Okay, this one is called Quest or Questions. Will I be single for the duration? Never know the feel of a family vacation? Continuing various acts of fornication? Hopefully I experience matrimonial elation. To death do us part sounds about right. Someone I can hold other than just at night. I can be gallant, gentleman of gentlemen, a shining armored knight. Once I get hitched, I won't give up, even with a fight. It's been close to 40 years and I've never proposed. I guess I haven't found what I'm looking for, I suppose. Looking for someone I can share with, accomplish similar goals, someone I can spend countless time with, dining out and evening shows. I won't settle, not even in a pinch. No ugly personality, can't deal with a Grinch. Size isn't important, but the size of her heart is. The way she prepares a meal and handle her biz. I write these words as a friendly reminder. Won't know who I want until I find her. Questions. That's that piece right there. Oh, this is one of my favorites right here. Okay. This was called City of Wind. We got action. We got action. All right, this one's called The City of Wind. Let me start out by dropping facts. Once you do, you'll know why we act the way we act. People think our nickname is because of the weather. No, because it's in the 1920s at World Fairs, there was no one better. So we bragged and we boasted about our town and proved that it was the best around. So when they call my city windy, it's not that it's any more than Indy. We talk plenty of shit and we can back up the We talk plenty of shit and we can back up the smell. Anyone who's actually been in the city knows this quite well. There are many layers to my city. Can't think of one that contains pity. The first I would say is the hustle. Without this, you're missing your true Chi-Town muscle. The next would be the city's dynamics. Racially divided, highly violent, those parts I can't stand it. The food is world renowned. Shit, Harold's Chicken and Eli's Cheesecake came from my town. Haven't lived there for years, but it's still a place I call home. When I visit, I still know where and where not to roam. Similar to Caesar if he used to revisit Rome. If I was to die and come back, I would still consider it home. My city has taught me countless valuable lessons. I guess that's why when adversities arise, I don't indulge in stressing. It's best to be a quick study and not a slow comprehender. Our senses are keen, we sniff out pretenders. Mind your own business, you might be fine. Encounter the wrong apple, you've already crossed the line. Don't strap your boots on, you'll be viewed as a broke joke. Once they see you coming, trying their best to provoke. Nerves are still and a sense about yourself. Don't have either of those, stay in the house, on the shelf. It's definitely a city, a show and prove. Gotta know how to talk and how to move. Well, I can't tell it all, that would be lame. Go live it like I did, and I swear, you'll never be the same. That's that piece right there. City of Wind. One more for you guys. Okay. This one is called Been Here Before. So, it looks like I'm back in the rat race and I'm not even a mouse. Gotta put myself back in competition to pay for my house. My money coming slow, so I gotta do what a man can to keep me from having the lower hand. Life's cold, but it's fair. Depending upon your decisions, it can be a nightmare. It's me that controls my dream. I've been my own worst enemy, or so it seems. Time to follow another's program until I can create my own. I will finally be able to I will finally be able to take my rightful place on the throne, to be king, that I was intended. All this knowledge I've acquired, let's just hope I didn't spend it. Early to bed, early to rise, life always brings a surprise. Get it while you can, stick to the plan, get it under wraps, like your name was Saran. It's up to you, nobody else. Make sure you play for keeps or get left on the shelf. Life is short, go for the glory. Take time out to make your own story. Audacious as ever, a level past clever. Keep it unafraid on every endeavor. I know my time's running, so I'm clocking in. I know you hear the music, maybe the violin, or perhaps it's the piano, the keys play a sweet tune. My time is surely coming from the sunrise to the moon. That's that piece right there. Thank you.
That's OG one more time. If you didn't check him out, he had on this like matching shirt, pants, and shoes, boy. You know it, man. Yeah. Okay, I see you out here in these streets. I see you. My friend Dan, are you ready? Does he say he's ready? He's not ready. He's not ready. All right. Pat, are you reading with me tonight? He's ready? Okay, hold that thought. All right. All right, Dan. This is my guy, Dan. Let's show him some love while he pops on the screen for us.
I'm on TV. Hi, Pam. Good to see you. Loved your singing. It was lovely.
See something else you didn't know.
Uh, so for our project Panoply for this quarter, I asked John Homan, who does the open mic or the wordplay mic out in Elkhart, to enter into a poetic conversation with me. So he started out writing a poem, and then I responded to it. I'm going to read you just two of these poems that we had back and forth out of our set. So I'm going to start with John Homan's poem. And you got to imagine that if John Homan were reading, there'd be a bass playing behind him, and it'd be really funky and cool. And his poem is called Cowboy Prophet. At my grandfather's funeral, I spoke to my father's friend, the only true cowboy I knew intimately. 2 years out of Bible school, I had a way of speaking that sounded like I knew it all and was available if he needed my assistance. He patiently listened to me while considering he had socks older than me. Looking at me in the eye that way, an older man speaks truth. The type of youngster who doesn't deserve a pearl in his pig pen. Understand this: you will never know as much as you know right now. I nodded, thanked him, and proceeded to shut up. His serious tone communicated volumes of patience. 30 years later, the cowboy prophecy comes to pass. As black and white coalesce into shades of gray, colors never before bloom in forgotten truths, long buried in the cemetery of my mind. Whitman said to loaf and invite the soul. But enlightenment came in coffee fueled overtime, finally admitting to my own weakness. Truth dawns slower than hoped. The measure of a man more than what's between his legs. The sorceress is not to blame. Selfishness, that magic spell, turns all men into swine.
Amen.
And so this is my response to John's poem in this set. It's called Marlboro Man. He rose above the horizon of our cool, a cut out aspiration, virile possibility, giant, tan, strong. He lived stories we could never presume, and our cutoffs and ratty tees, Spider-Man clutched in sweaty palms, rattling along in rusty VWs and Pacers, a hero among the clouds, the moon his pillow, a wild heart his dream, the tilt of his 10-gallon hat, his laser eyes challenged the sun. Thanks, Pam.
Thank you, Dan. We'll give it up for him again. If any of you like Panera Bread, he's out on the south side at Panera Bread, right? Dan, you still there? Nope, he's gone. Well, you can visit him there. He's one of the managers out there, or he used to be. I think he still is. They just moved across the street over in the Kroger's area. They were on the other side, and so I kind of met him through when we did our 12-hour poetry marathon. He was a huge contributor in helping us out. So I'm glad he was able to be with us tonight. Again, if there's anybody out there watching us, anybody in the room that would love to share, we'd love you and your poetry. So just let me know. Yeah? Okay, cool, yeah. All right. Pat, come on down.
I'd like to say thank you to Poetry Den. I haven't written in over a year, but I wanted to come this evening and I decided to write. And the first one I'm going to read is Basket Weaver. She takes strips of straw, bending them without breaking, weaving them over and under, continuously, painstakingly, taking time to create a thing of beauty in a life filled with so many mundane tasks, until one day she realizes all the tasks are completed and there is no longer a need to patiently, painstakingly continue the weaving. She stops, no longer needing to fill her life with weaving, because she has created a thing of beauty to replace the space she no longer occupies. And this next one is for my boomer people who always talk about the good old days that I don't remember the way they do. We lived our lives segregated by color, class, and custom, supported by separate but equal laws. We lived in communities surrounded by myths and fears of night riders, sheet-wearing harbingers of pain and death. We were controlled by hatreds older than the folks praising God on Sunday and spitting in our faces on Monday. We shopped at stores owned by unscrupulous shopkeepers, paying unquestioned, miscalculated bills. We left our families to care for children, often related by blood, if not marriage, taught to treat us disrespectfully and forced to endure unwelcome touches that none dared challenge. We worked for people who presumed to know us with fond memories of the good old days. Few of us have fond memories of those days, those times, or those people.
Such rich and deep Poetry. Thank you again, everyone, for Pat, please. So we got someone new to the Poetry Den, and I don't know his name, but he's gonna tell me his name. Cam? Yep, Cam, I met you yesterday, didn't I? Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, these are my friends, my new friends that supported me yesterday at Art Beat. And so now they have some items in their house to remind them of me every day. Yes, the ultimate goal. No, I'm just kidding. Cam, come on up. You show some love for him. First time at the Poetry Den. Woo!
Hello, everybody. My name's Cam, as we just established. Among other things, but perhaps most importantly, I'm the roommate of the featured poet tonight. And he was giving me an evil glare that if I did not share something, he was going to be upset. So, which is understandable, you know. Yeah, just without words. It's a special gift. So I'm going to share a poem I just recently wrote called All Things. The background to this poem, just a little bit of context that might help you understand a little better, is I got rear-ended on a Boston highway in a rental car I wasn't supposed to be driving. And then I came home and I was anxious about something else, so they ended up tying together. All right, it's called All Things. My heart constricts, pressing in like one of those hallways in an action movie, but I see no escape. I messed up. Damn it. Now how the hell do I fix this? Rewind. I was rear-ended on a highway in Boston by a man I now call friend. Ain't that something? And my mental turmoil somehow merged with his as we stood stranded on the side of that on-ramp. We discussed philosophy, religion in our makeshift coffee shop despite the blazing sun and driving passerby side eyes. Friends. I called him Job. That is, after he proved himself a guru, teaching me the secret of presence and contentment in all things. This Californian Bostonian, hardcore screaming vocalist monk, my new friend, though neither of us wanted to be here. Until we surrendered to the mystery and possibility that maybe we were supposed to be, or at the very least, got to be. But that shit ain't easy. It requires a comfortability with, or at least hard-nosed tolerance of, the incessant buzzing of my own missteps. But shit, if he can crash his company van, for the second time in a month, might I add, and still make a friend, then maybe I can be here, surrendered to the mystery that somehow God makes all things work together for good.
Cam, that was awesome. Thank you. And thank you for giving him the evil eye. This is the crash of eyes, right? And your friends. That was a bad joke. That was real bad. That was bad. That was bad. All right, so did I miss anybody? Anybody else want to read tonight? Read something second? I know you, OG, you always with me. Yeah? Jason? Right? Jackson. Jackson. Another newcomer to the Poetry Den.
Yeah, so my name's Jackson. I am a friend of the roommate. So yeah, I just recently got into writing poetry.
You rubbing off on them.
Yeah.
I took him to a store and I was like, this is the poetry book you need to buy. And he bought it. So I'm working on it.
It's true, very true. So I've got a few of them. They're all pretty short. This first one's actually one that I wrote like way back in March. So here we go. What if nothing needs fixed at all? What would I do then? Find something else? Or rest in presence? Improving, moving, changing isn't always the best, but it's always busy. What's the cost? What do we lose? Is perfect worth it? I'm beginning to think otherwise. So this next one is one that I wrote about. Well, so I'm trying to write one like 5 days out of the week. Just get used to it, you know. And this one is one I wrote about just the weird transition time between you know, being at home with your parents and being a full-grown adult. So it's just weird, so I'll get into it. Maybe it's just the time, the cause of why I feel this way. Caught somewhere between an infant and a man, between helpless babe and a loving father. Where am I? What's going on? Who shook the foundations? Why is my stability gone? These answers reserved for another time, perhaps. Not now, you say. I can't explain it. I feel like I'm on my own. Like the floor is waiting to buckle beneath my feet. Where did my parents go? Was I the one who wandered? Is this part of life? When did I get 2 new roommates? Yeah, and then I've got, yeah, that's it. Sorry. Should I do it to him, Cam? The one I showed Spencer? Yeah, all right. So this one is pretty relatively vulnerable. I have a decent amount of anxiety, particularly like pertaining to relationships. So I'll just get into it. The things that need fixed before we meet honestly scare me. I'm incredibly anxious and compulsive and preservationally minded. I get scared when you like me more than I like you, and I still don't know what to do when that happens. I can be a good actor and make my gestures match the script. I struggle with the physical to a high degree, and I go farther than I ought to repeatedly. I beat myself up and drain the energy of the one who's trying to love me so carefully. I've not had a relationship go past 3 months in almost 4 years. And at this point, I worry if it'll ever work. There are times that I genuinely feel cursed. If you want to love me, you should know what's up ahead. This is probably going to hurt, and I'm going to cause you pain. Despite my fervent actions to do anything to refrain. Please know I'm trying so hard every day to be my best, and that sometimes it won't be enough. Maybe I'll be better by the time that we meet. Maybe not. I just hope that by that time, I'm not afraid anymore.
Yeah. Jackson, that was awesome. Thank you. One more time for Jackson. You in the right spot here, man. We all vulnerable when we come to this spot together and share words. So thank you for that. I felt that actually, a lot of it. I know my guy LG is gonna do another one. I'm gonna do one, OG, and then anybody else out there that would like to read again. Oh, you'd love to read? And tell me your name. Elena. So I'm gonna bring you up before I do this. Elena is coming to the mic.
Okay, so I'm Elena, friend of Spencer's, and actually all of these people are here except for Jackson, who I just met tonight. Sorry, dude. And the poem I'm going to read tonight, I actually wrote about 2 years ago for a prompt at my undergrad school, which I just graduated from this past May. Thank you. So, the prompt is about guests at 4 a.m. Had I known I was going to have guests at 4 a.m., I would have tidied up. Had I known I was going to have guests at 4 a.m., I would have tidied up. I would have tidied up for the sake of the guests at 4 a.m. if I had known. At 4 a.m., I would have tidied up had I known I was going to have guests? What would I have tidied up? Why at 4 a.m.? Would knowing have made a difference? Why do these guests matter? External signs of anxiety, depression, tears, and the dank, musty odor of one who has felt too alone for far too long. The mess is at its worst at 4 a.m. That is why I tidy. For the guests at 4 a.m. would be far more intrusive if I did not. Knowing their imminent arrival has made all the difference in how I tidy for the guests at 4 a.m. knocking at my door. I wish the guests did not matter. But if ever I am to discover healing, breathing, flourishing life, then I must tidy.
I know when Spencer brought his friends. He was bringing his friends. He wasn't just bringing anybody. But yeah, thank you again for being a part of the Poetry Den. So I hope you enjoy the rest of this and come back again. Again, if there's anybody else out there that would like to read, I'm gonna holler at you. I'm gonna do a piece, ask OG, and then yeah, we'll keep moving forward. This piece I wrote some time ago, and it was primarily off of a bunch of game shows. And so it's called The Game of Life. The game of life. Break me off a little slice. Reduce the drama and lower my price of strife. Think once, no, really think twice. If you believe you can do this thing without Christ. Who wants to be a millionaire? Well, you gotta be smarter than a fifth grader. Otherwise, you're just another pretty face sitting in a Hollywood square. Deal or no deal, with every spin of my wheel of fortune, vows are free. If you can't form the word, the game is now Jeopardy. The game of life. Break me off a little slice, reduce the drama, and lower my price of strife. Think once, no, really think twice, if you believe you can do this thing without Christ. When the price is right, you'll play the newlywed game. So don't forget the lyrics, the love songs all say the same. You'll look to the clergy for what's my line. It's the $1 million password, I do, each and every time. To tell the truth doesn't make you the weakest link. It cuts down the family feud, maybe of divorce court, we won't think. The game of life, break me off a little slice, reduce the drama, and lower my price of strife. Think once, no, really think twice if you believe you can do this thing without Christ. Now these are the days of our lives with all my children, the young and the restless, the bold and the beautiful. Locked into the silly, I continue to watch Maury, Jerry, and even Judge Judy. I look to Dr. Phil, Dr. Ruth throwing Oprah for a little burden, for a little bit of proof. Where does it all end? Hopefully not with 2.5 men. God forbid Family Guy or Return of Friends. Sorry, if you're a Friend fan. An obscure look at human error, reality TV, produced American dreams out of America's nightmares. The game of life. Break me off a little slice, reduce the drama and lower my price of strife. Think once, no, really think twice. If you believe you can do this thing without Christ, the game of life. That's that piece. All right, OG, wanna come join me back up here? Show some love for OG as he comes back.
Y'all still hanging in there? Good deal, good deal. I'm gonna share 2 pieces and then get out y'all way. The name of this one is called Gone. Her beauty is a heated pool ready for me to dive. Until I felt her, I didn't know what it felt like to be alive. Her actions are sweet, words even sweeter. I thank the universe that I had my time to meet her. Her eyes had a sparkle, her body had a twist. Conversation off the hook, couldn't wait to kiss. Had that first kiss and couldn't explain it. Can't wait for a man of the cloth to ordain it. Neglected to mention the intelligence factor. Personality pleasant, never since she was an actor. The way I feel, nor do I want to, nor do I fear it. If she was a sample, couldn't wait for her to clear it. She's the bass line to my song, the right to my wrong, the bop in my stride, as queen by my side. Riding shotgun for the long ride. Off into the sunset or sky filled with clouds, shining off each other, standouts in any crowd. Lady of the hour, too sweet to be sour, you and I as one, everlasting love power. That's that piece right there, Gone. This is one of my favorites. Let me see, this was called Coming or Going. I'm a Gemini, so I come divided. When answers are needed, which side would provide it? Some not so good, others are the greatest. That's fine, catch a whiff of my latest. Inspiration, gotta practice more self-dedication. True to myself, gotta know who I'm facing. It's me who I'm referring to, isn't that amazing? Constantly at battle with myself, a civil war of sorts. When I give myself trouble, I look to me for support. Funny thing is, no matter the outcome, I'll always win. Whether I'm being an angel or indulging in sin. No matter the decision, I'm always right. With this battle going on, sometimes I don't sleep at night. It's a battle of the ages. All I can do is continue to turn the pages on this book called life, write new chapters. On a daily basis, embrace the pain and the laughter. I'll continue to write, seems to be great therapy. But the shy person in me doesn't want the world staring at me. The outgoing part has been itching to start getting riches and accolades. That guy will also enjoy bitches and escalades. The shy guy can't even deal with the sun in his eyes, let alone book signings allowing the world to spy. So this is with what I am faced. Do I send the shy guy or the extroverted in his place? Or do I send a mixture of the two? Oh, please help me, self, what the fuck should I do? Nothing and everything are the answers I receive. I go back and forth like you wouldn't believe. I guess a happy medium would be the answer. If it was that simple, I wouldn't sway back and forth like a drunken dancer, coming and going.
That's OG in the house. Before I call up my next newcomer to the open mic, I'm gonna do some corny haikus. Anybody ready for some corny haikus? All right. I knew there'd be somebody with me. Slumber just to dream. This deja vu caught between my reality. This haiku came from, this actually happened and it was between me and my son when my son was smaller. Points to a dark sky. Mommy, that's God's fingernail. Smiles at crescent moon. This is one of my favorite. Ruler in the field, yet no king of the jungle, the dandelion. I won't read that one. It's geared towards women, and yeah, I don't want to make anybody uncomfortable. Okay. All right, here we go. No, I'm not gonna do it. So. You can't understand while standing in your own shoes, so take your shoes off. Embrace the beauty, refuse to be colorblind. Love has no favorites. And you guys know about haikus. I don't have to go through the whole thing here. I appreciate that. And I'll read this last one. The sky's the limit. They told me I was a star. Ceilings can't hold us. And now to welcome a newcomer to the open mic and the Poetry Den, Aaron. Show some love for Aaron, please.
This poem right here is called How Can a Kid Raise a Child? That's something that we face everywhere in America, everywhere across the world. I say, America, we are faced within these days and time with a dilemma in which the generation gap have the days, youth bringing forth the young, where girls become mothers even before they're able to understand the responsibilities that are yet to come. And when I think about the boys who are unfit to be fathers, my breath is taken to the actual point of speechlessness. Because you, oh America, would rather close your eyes to avoid seeing these events unfold than to become like me, a condemned witness. But why? Why, oh America, should we deceive ourselves any longer when the survival of humanity depends upon these very souls? They look up to us, they need us here and now, but we have fed on like the educational system and then got the nerve to wonder why. Why our future is evading the streets, causing such a ruckus that the ones in authority erect Department of Corrections, because they fear the untamed energy of delinquency. Therefore, these institutions are only a source for that protection. But in the long run, it can be said that the truth is that they lock away their problems so we can formulate a reasonable resolution. So let's come together and fight against this academic, because alone we are losing. The one left to ask, how can a kid raise a child?
Aaron, thank you for that piece, man. Thank you for being here. All right, yeah. Before we move on to our featured artist, is there anybody else? Oh, yes, what I'm talking about. Come on up and I'll just introduce you from up here. How about that? And your name is? Mira. Y'all, she's new to the Poetry Den, another newcomer. Show her some love.
Okay, I literally just wrote this right now.
Yeah, I love it.
It doesn't have a name. It was supposed to happen in the back seat of my friend's car, or on the couch after I flipped a record over. But life isn't fair. Cold hands pulled me upstairs and it happened right there, breaking a small body, or perhaps taking the soul buried in the skin and bones, taking the one place I knew was my home. 10 years later, at the end of the day, I'm okay. What didn't kill me made me stronger, but I was only 8. I didn't need to be stronger, I needed to be safe.
Mira, did I say that right? Y'all show her some more love. Thank you. One of my mottos is to IPMC, which is inspire, provoke, and motivate to create. And the fact that she wrote that while sitting here with us always fulfills that motto that it warms my heart. So I appreciate all of you that were decided to share with us tonight. Those of you that are online that shared with us, Dan, appreciate you. Please come back, again and join us. I'm about to announce my featured artist for the night. When we do features, it's always great when they tell their friends. We like that. We want the friends to come out and cheer on their poet or show some support. And so some of the reasons why we do that is that we want you to bring your friends in, and Spencer's really good at that. Spencer's been very helpful to me as it comes to co-hosting with me. I'm hoping that he'll, will do that in a few, he plans to. And so I'm just excited to have him to be our feature tonight. He is my male BFF. I say that because I have a female BFF for a long time. Yeah. He's genderized there. I'm just gonna lay it out there. Sorry. But yeah, we met at the same church that we go to, and we did some poetry together, and we got that connection, and that's really has definitely been close to my heart. And so, Spencer Clark French, love that, is a poet whose work typically engages the questions of spiritual encounter, the mind, nature, and systems of injustice. But tonight, almost all of his pieces he will share are love poems. Imagine that. He is also an award-winning essayist and a PhD candidate, American poetry at Notre Dame. There was something I was going to say with that. But yeah, so that's it, I guess. No, but please welcome, if you're watching us online, some shouts out, claps, snaps for my friend Spencer.
Thanks, bestie, not female bestie, not just bestie. I also have to say, when you add the word I guess to the end of any introduction, it feels a little strange. Like, this is Spencer Clark French, does all this, I guess. So I'm not sure about that, but also, it was wonderful hearing, Pam, wait, Pam, before you take off real quick, we're talking about this place being a place of celebration. Can I see your left hand? Put it up. No. She just got engaged to her partner, Bianca. Really big celebration. That's really great. And yeah, so I typically read a lot of like really serious poems, and some of these I guess are serious, but I wanted to have a little bit more fun today. So I dug through the treasure trove of old love poems that I wrote when I was when I was like 6 or 7 years ago, and I was still very immature, as an 18-year-old. Now I'm perfectly fine, of course, but back then, was a problem. So a friend asked me, what's the proper way to respond to poems? Do you snap, do you clap? And for this specific set, I want to encourage you to laugh loud enough to stop me. And laugh at me, that's fine too, because in some places it will be well warranted. So let me start with an older poem. This is very simply a poem about a girl, titled "A Poem About a Girl." I've been struggling with staring recently, which admittedly sounds bad, but I don't mean it in the way you think, or at least I don't think I do. It's just that, well, I've been looking for you. I see you every day at that intersection where I was dancing in my driver's seat, singing into my rear view. I apologize. It's just, Bruno gets me. You looked over in a way that said either you intrigue me or you terrify me, and I'm not sure which, but either way, you noticed me and I noticed you. Where are you going? Can I come too? I see you every day. In the grocery store checkout line, insert some joke about how you were checking me out and all I did was return the favor. Please don't judge me for my purchase. A box of Oreos, double stuff, I'm not a monster. Dill pickle sunflower seeds and 2 bottles of the finest sparkling cider in all the land. It's all for a friend? And even if it was for me, I will gladly change my diet for you. In fact, from now on, I will only eat the finest vegan cuisine. $50 for asparagus juice? Yes, please. But why are you in the checkout line in the first place? What are you working for? Might I work for that too? I see you every day, and that one gen ed that everyone has to take but nobody wants to. You know, the one that starts at 8 a.m., which is the undergraduate equivalent of walking 4 miles to school in a blizzard uphill both ways. Did you hate that class too, dear? Or friend, or pal, or acquaintance? I understand we just met and you're trying to transcribe class notes for a subject you probably despise. But even if I have to retake Ethiopian culinary arts 5 times, I want to know your dreams. What are you passionate about? Could I share that passion with you? I see you every day. At my cousins, friends, girlfriends, brothers' wedding reception dance floor, you noticed me. And while I came to the conclusion this was in response to the incredibly smooth ways I move my body, it was more likely that you were impressed by the fact that I've been flailing my arms for like 20 minutes and I don't look like I'm gonna stop anytime soon. I apologize. It's just that, you know, Bruno gets me. And we are at a wedding with different families and different lives, and love is in the air. Are you the one that makes in-laws worth it? Is your heart something you're willing to share? If I were a Capulet, dare you be my Montague? I see you every day. Your passing glances are held with reference. Is this the woman with whom I will build my everything? I savor every subtle side smile for the sake of our wedding ceremony. If people are going to ask me how we first met, I want to make sure I got this right. This is how it went. It all started at an intersection with Bruno and some incredibly smooth dancing moves. So I have some friends here who have known me for those 5 years since I've been writing these poems, and they're playing a game of like, who do these poems apply to? They're trying to guess. I'm not sure if it's a drinking game, but sounds fun. I'm excited to lead with a couple that they don't know who they're about. I grew up, this next poem is in a similar kind of vein as the first. I grew up watching Harry Potter. I grew up with the movies, and in growing up with Harry Potter, I fell in love with one Emma Watson, as many people have. But what I hadn't noticed is the kind of deep psychological equivalent that my subconscious made between a British accent and incredibly powerful pubescent feelings of love. So when I flew British Airlines, like a few years later, many years later, it was a problem. Anyways, this is a poem called A Poem in Celebration of the Flight Attendants of Flight BA-296, more specifically Becky. I gave this to her. She never responded. It was the cheer they bore at that ungodly hour, the charm and gleam, amid the cycle of complaints and incessant summoning, and questions regarding the necessity of international paperwork, questions that would not have needed to be asked if headphones, gifted mere minutes prior, were not lodged so deeply into the sockets. But they weren't bothered, never were, or at least seemed to be. It was the red-eyed elegance, the effortless synergy, and unforced attentiveness. To be sure, the British accents may have contributed. But also, it was the charity that arose, even with the occasional ogle, not me, and a common debacle, cups of water whose importance far outweighed the turbulence that shook us all. And this is where you suppose the angel metaphor, the airplane peanuts of all analogies, bland but expected. You wait for me to observe the featherless wings that these women rest upon. You anticipate me making this connection based upon their nearness to God's, noting how they spend most of their time in the city limits of heaven. But I am not writing this to fall in formation with that expectation, nor am I here to demonstrate my skills in otherworldly perception. I am writing this because as I looked at the front of that economy class slumber party, I met her eyes and she smiled, and it was the most divine thing I've ever seen. This is a poem called Light Pollution. I grew up in the countryside, and every night I could look out and see brilliant, brilliant stars. And so moving to a city, even a city the size of South Bend, I had a hard time adjusting to that. And I wrote this poem at a time where I did not have many friends either, or I didn't feel like I had a lot of true friends. And a certain friend stuck out of that. And so there was an analogy that seemed to work. This is called Light Pollution. One note on the poem, there is another voice that kind of enters it and speaks as a voice of opposition. And so when I do that, I'm going to turn my body to kind of illustrate that. Light pollution. It was a friendless fluorescence, an engineered eradication of night and star that sent me swimming in the sapped beige of the sleeping city, a pilgrim for the dark. For your night, I will grant a world in which nothing is hidden. For your moon, I will give you a spotlight that you control, can oversee. And for those celestial bodies, gaze about, let us worship infinite street lamp galaxies. And I would wander those blinding nights, suffocating on the ambience, trying to make myself move by the airplanes, to fabricate from this vacant light a kind of joy. In this city, boy, there is no need for nature, nothing we can't manufacture. Now, take my hand, call me brother. Together we will whitewash this world and we will bleach each other. The sun fled one evening, and I became aimless again. But when my gaze rose to the copper glare, I saw through the haze a single star and was filled with awe. Slowly, the bright sky faded, and a tear rent the dome's dim glow. The natural night surrounded me, and I was swaddled in the care of the shadows. And I did not notice all that was going around, for as I stood on the outskirts in that dark, beautiful night, all that was a single light. This poem is called A Journey Ends Here, and throughout the poem I'll mention a few characters from literary history. Penelope was the woman who was married to a guy named Odysseus who, she waited at home and he was all, fucking around doing whatever. Sorry, that's just what he was doing. Very literally, that's what he was doing. And Beatrice was the muse of the poet Dante, who apparently inspired his movement through hell and purgatory and heaven. And those are the only kind of references I had. So I wanted to see, when I was falling in love, what kind of resonances there were and were not. This is called A Journey Ends Here. This has been written thousands of years before me, and it will extend thousands more. The scene you already assume: in a room, a boy and a girl find within themselves a simple gravity. But when he gazes at her, he does not see Penelope, eyes salt-rimmed with shame and she unwavering. When he looks at her, he does not see Beatrice, all glint and flare and elation unfettered through squinted stare. Instead, a thread of gentle harmony. For shame, you've already conjured that cloying name, love. This song has been written thousands of times, but this is the first of mine. The only surprise? What shone in her eyes seemed not so much love as it did an invitation to harbor. So, when you're talking about falling in love, there's also falling out of it. And we're going to make a pivot to that portion of the talk. If anyone needs to, it's kind of raw for the moment and you need to, step out, that's all right. We've all been there. Isn't it funny how you can spend an entire day kind of keeping your mind where you want it and staying away from the thoughts you don't want to, but just before you fall asleep or just before after you wake up, you don't really have that kind of control? I found that kind of interesting. Also interesting how it's like the sun, how the light changes at the early parts and the late parts of the day. Anyways, before dreams come, she goes on and on in the hidden parts of me. Before dreams come, or just after my first stir of alertness, before the brain can be reined into what's proper. Like the dutiful sun, which, shining normally for the day and stored responsibly away at night, bursts with beautiful hues in dawn's honesty or an unguarded twilight. My slumbered mind, in some stumble of semi-consciousness, always seems to wind its way to the door of your memory. If we're talking about love and heartbreak, one of the most classic stories is that of Eurydice and Orpheus. In this story, they were madly in love, and then Eurydice was killed, I believe, by the bite by a snake, and she was sent to the underworld. And Orpheus was a gifted singer, and so he went all the way down to the bottom of the underworld, as the story goes, and sang a dirge that was so beautiful that the gods of the underworld permitted her to leave, but he could never look back until she made it out. And the way that the story goes is that he kept, he did the whole walk the whole way. Just before the end, he was questioning himself and turned back and saw her dissolve. This is a poem called Apology. How is it, my dear, after nearly 2 years of desire as obvious as air, my heart stalwart and yours a roller coaster, how is it that I am the one who feels no more? How am I, mood swung, insecure, who once apologized for holding your hand without asking, cast as the cold Casanova? Was it my assurance that did us in? Or did I praise your name into oblivion? As if Orpheus, after hours of anguish striving, turned to find not Eurydice dissolve, but all desire therefore. Once beloved, what requiem would he sing? That is my apology. So I really love that story about Orpheus and Eurydice, though I do have to say, it is kind of strange how focused on the dude it is. It's like, yes, a love story between two people, but we're only going to focus on one of them. And it kind of bothered me, especially because I love the story. And once I found out a friend of mine, once she walked out of a relationship that was unhealthy for her, her birthday was coming up, so I decided to write her a poem, and I turned the story a bit on its head. This is called There Is Much to Love in a Glass Home. There is much to love in a glass home, the shine and gleam, everything chrome, the prospect of a life translucent, of someone new, and of course, there's the view. Of course, one must tread with care. Of course, there are things to endure, blame for every crack, tiptoeing the fragile floor. Of course, there's the fear. There are many who think it easier to be housed in a pain that's familiar. She might have stayed. She wanted to. If not, for one day, when looking through the walls of windows, she began to see a reflection, her face empty, vague as Eurydice. So, without shame or gloom, Without cry or scream, she left, choosing not to pack. She dissolved that dream, and she did not look back. All right, I have two more for you. Two notes on this poem. I use the word Trappist. A Trappist is a kind of monk who makes a vow of silence, who won't speak for many, many hours. Many of these notes that I offer, I didn't know until I wrote the poem. And so it's like I had to look this up on Google. Might as well tell you, save you the worry. And there's a word in here, ovoid. Ovoid just kind of means like cylindrical, like kind of like an ellipses, kind of like this shape. Who makes the seasons change. The premise of this poem is I was walking one day and saw a tree had started producing buds in the middle of February, and was like, good luck, good luck. But then something happened later. Who makes the seasons change? It appeared in February, a tiny knob, dormant with potentiality. I was shocked still on my chilled stroll by the bud on the fingertip of a small tree. But I stood with raptured bemusement at that miracle damned by prematurity. This velvet cocoon could not, surely would not, survive this cold. Though it did for many days, precarious, olive oblong, diminutive, tight-furled fist, smooth as skin, persisting with the silence of a Trappist. But then the ice came. One day, I found the pre-leaf brittly casked by warm wintry glass, and this was the day the cynic won. I walked away, heart as hard as that frozen knot. But when the sun came the next, that unyielding sprout was all the same, swaying in its quiet solemnity, minute ovoid hope, almond of resurrection. Who makes the seasons change? Who melts the frigid, warms the numbed? That day, my chest changed affection, and then, not long after, blossomed. This is the last poem I have for you guys. Thanks so much for coming out. This has been a blast. Before I even got up here, I was like, oh, wow, I'm really satisfied. Like, no, I'm good. And then I realized I had to go read. I was like, oh, rats. A lot of the poetry that I write, as the introduction noted, is mostly about God, or talks about mental illness or systems of oppression. And I write a little bit about love, but not often. And I sure as heck haven't written many poems about joy, the joys of living in a body and being in love. But I tried this one, and I really like it. And I don't have a lot of opportunities to read it because I don't think my mom would appreciate it. So this is called The Graveyard. The city center was forever lit, the dim din of the suburbs like the fluorescence of a supermarket, and all the shadows were insincere. I think this was our reason, because at midnight in Midtown, we decided to drive past the droning green lights, past mass-produced picket fence happiness, past the depressive, ever-present bright, into the free night of the countryside. We pulled into the back street of a fallow cornfield graveyard, the stones scattered about, and parked. And while the resurrected stars kept watch, we were dancing into the backseat, where lips meet and time stills intertwined. I do not mind. Fill each other, be filled, sweet cherry wine, press closer, closer. Eyes closed, faith needs no sight. Be thorough, boy, closer, faster. Now go slow, know me with your hands. Yes, bodies tangle, yes, heartbeats meet, oh, oh, breathe, breathe. My dear, how did you cast this spell on me? The car air is now only exhale. Breathless, I smear the steam-sheen glass and gaze into the night to find an audience of stars. Divine eyes boundlessly looking on. We ease my car door open, and our aura followed. The fog diffused into the night. Even the moon was blurred. I remember. Swaying, hand in hand among the moss-swallowed stones, I looked into her eyes. She was beautiful in ways the city light could never contrive funny. It was in a graveyard where we first came alive. Thank you.
Wow, that was wonderful, wasn't it? Yeah? One more time for Spencer. Thank you so much, Spencer. You know, nothing but love, BFF. Absolutely. See, I didn't even say male BFF.
I hear that. It's recorded too.
All right.
I just have to clip that out and save it.
Yeah, so I just want to say that it's been great to see people in this space again, and thank you for coming out and joining me, even though we have to wear these precious things that cover our face. Hopefully one day we'll get beyond that, like I said, but again, thank you for making the sacrifice, for joining us. I encourage you to come back. I don't care if you read that same poem the next time. I like it. Somebody is going to be here that hasn't heard it. I always say that. Never be afraid to read the same thing, because I guarantee you somebody hasn't heard it. And if you show up enough times, you'll hear me do some of my stuff multiple times. But mainly what I was sharing with one of the newcomers, Aaron, that I really love to hear from you guys more than I love to stand here and hear from myself, because I'm an only child and I've been known to entertain myself a lot. So yeah, so thank you for being here. We meet every fourth Sunday of the month, except for in December. It might be a week early. We have a Facebook page. Join our Facebook page. You'll see these events every month there with the featured artists. Also, the Heritage Center here has a Facebook page. They put things out, get on their list, they'll send you an email, and they'll tell you about what's going on here, as well as all the other things, beautiful and wonderful things that happen out of this building. So say hello to somebody you don't know. That's church, isn't it? Yeah. I'm just kidding. Yeah. But thank you all again. Be safe. We'll see you next time.